I think it's time we put a little gospel in our life. Because we have been enjoying that rock and roll, shaking our legs. And it's time this Sunday morning to go to church with our gospel music. We've got a bunch of guys that are going to come out and sing some gospel for you, but we needed an official start. And no one knows more about gospel that's going to be on this stage than Mr. Larry Strickland. Larry is here. He's been a judge for us this week. He's not through yet. Tonight he'll be a judge at the finals. But I wanted to ask Larry to come out and say hello and maybe do a few gospel numbers himself. And here he is. Larry, it's good to see you.
Good to be here.
We were talking backstage. There was this interview that we did years ago, not that long ago, where we were in the Jungle Room. And we were talking about your memories of being in the Jungle Room. And you had firsthand knowledge, being in Elvis's home, being with Elvis so much, of his love of gospel music. And being able to sing gospel with him must have been, for a kid like you, growing up loving Elvis, there you are.
Well, the gospel music is what brought me to the dance, you know. If I hadn't been a gospel singer, I would have never gotten a gig with Elvis, you know, because that's what he required for backup singers. But when we did the Jungle Room sessions, obviously my favorite memory is there was one night when he wasn't ready to sing, and Charlie Hodge came downstairs to where we were all hanging out, and said, "Listen, Elvis is going through his closet. He's going to get rid of all of his street clothes and go buy a whole new wardrobe. So he wants you guys to come up and, you know, pick out what you want or whatever." So he took us up one at a time. And so I'm up with Elvis in his closet, just me and him. And he's going through clothes, you know, and holding it up. And I'm going, yeah, I like that, Elvis. I can wear that, you know, obviously knowing I would never wear it. But just the idea that I'm hanging out with Elvis in his closet, you know, that's a pretty strong memory. But then there's, you know, those recordings in the Jungle Room where I never thought there would be a record because, you know, normally you record in a studio and you've got isolation. The backup singers are in one room, the drums are in another, has its own room, and each individual part, it's all isolated. So one instrument or one voice doesn't bleed into the other, you know, and then the mixers can then mix it all together. Well, we didn't have any of that. There was no battling, there was no isolation at all. And Elvis would just walk around the room, you know, singing. You can imagine the guys in the recording trying to go, "Oh my God, what's he doing?" Because one minute he's got drums, and the next minute they got backup vocals, and he's just walking around.
And if I remember correctly, when you look into the Jungle Room, you guys, the singers, were back by the door that goes outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in that little corner back there. And you had the door open because the cables, I think, were coming through.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's
sure.
what yeah. So everybody had their little space.
Yeah.
And I remember, too, they had to turn the fountain off, the waterfall, because they kept getting the waterfall noise of the water in there, so they had to turn the waterfall off.
So if you know anything about recording, I mean, how they made such beautiful records out, you know, Moody Blue and all those songs are just so wonderful, and the guys they did magic in the studio about mixing that and making a great record out of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you just said the word magic. Let's bless this audience with a little magic. I would love for you to sing a few for us. Would you do that?
We'll do a couple. There's a couple